Hi, and welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of a series that I'm doing about all the jobs that I've worked up until now. If you haven't seen part 1, I will link it down below in the description box. But this is a 3-part series, and hi, hello, if you are new here, my name is Jennifer, and what we do here is we talk about agoraphobic material, and we talk about makeup material, and right now I'm just doing a story time. But if either or any of these subjects interest you, then I highly suggest that you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification button and set it to all so that you are notified every time that I upload a video. I would sure love for you to join my little family. And if you are interested in this subject of hearing part 2 of my little story time, then hold tight because we are getting right into it. Okay, so now I have just graduated college. I have my bachelor's degree in computer science, and this is 1998 when the tech boom has hit. So I have my pick of jobs. They have recruiters coming to the school doing interviews, so I don't have to really go out and really hit the streets to find a job. So I find a job with Rockwell Collins. They do radio communications and do contracts with the U.S. government. So I get a job working there, and I'm a software engineer, and I'm working on government contracts, and I get to take trips to go to government offices and such, and I gotta admit, it was probably my most boring job that I ever had. Sitting in an office all day, very slow paced. When I think about it back in retrospect, I think I missed the fast-paced work that I had in my other jobs. I'm very unhappy in this job, and I only end up working here for 2 years. Granted, I'm making good money at it, but at some point, I convinced myself that I want to go to cooking school, and I want to go to the Art Institute of Dallas. And my husband is completely behind me during all of this, and I don't know if I want to go and have a cooking career or not. I just want to learn how to cook. So at the same time, I'm taking baking classes at the local cake decorating store, and I'm learning how to decorate cakes at the same time. And so I'm going to the school, and for 2 quarters I'm working there, and I decide I want to quit my job at Rockwell Collins and start my career in the culinary industry. And I get my first job at the very swanky Anatole Hotel. It is where my pastry bakery teacher works. He's the French guy. I don't remember his name, but he was very sweet. But he is the manager of the pastry kitchen, and that is where I get my job at. And I didn't stay there for very long because he ended up having a heart attack. He survived. But while he was away, I had to deal with the assistant managers And they knew it was my first job. And I was one of the few white girls in the kitchen. There was another girl who was very nice to me. And of course, we became immediate friends. And what I did at this job was they had conventions of like from 10 people to 1,000 people. And we did the desserts for them. So it was like an assembly line of getting desserts ready every day. Anything from like key lime pie to, excuse me, to anything you could think of. Any dessert, flourless chocolate cake to fruit tarts. And we had to get the desserts ready for the various restaurants that were in the hotels. So that was that job. But after the chef was on leave for his condition, the assistant managers were just complete a-holes to me and gave me all the crappy jobs to do, and my friend too. And I just hated it there. They made it a very hostile place to work. So, and it was during this time me and my husband bought our first house. So it was like an hour to drive to work. So the cost benefit ratio just wasn't there. And so I quit that job pretty quickly. And then I was offered the opportunity to work at the Art Institute in the food supply room. And this was where you got the trays ready for the classes. So they had the cooking classes, and in classes they had the refrigerators, and in the refrigerators they expected you to pull out all the food that they needed for the class. Well, in the storage room, you had to get the trays ready for the classrooms, and you had to take in deliveries and check the deliveries, and you had to make the food orders and such and so like that. So I worked with 3 other women, one who was the manager, and no, it was one other girl. And it was just so catty in there. I barely got any hours. The other girl, the manager favored the other girl, and I got all the crappy night hours. You'll see this as a theme throughout my journey, the theme of favoritism. And I just wasn't her favorite. So I stayed there until I graduated the Art Institute, which I didn't get my associate's degree. I just got a certificate of cooking because I already had my bachelor's degree. I didn't need an associate's degree. And it had something to do with transferring my credits and such. So that was that. So I worked with the woman there who was supposed to help you find a job because they had job placement. They had guaranteed job placement. And she helped me get a job at this Irish pub called Trinity Hall. And they were just starting out. They were a very new place. And I got a job as the salad chef, which is the lowest person on the line in the cooking line, behind the line. It is the lowest line of the line. And I love that job so much. It was further away, not as far away as the Anatole, but it was kind of far away from home. But I just love that job so much. I didn't want to give it up. I love the chef that worked there. I like the owners a lot. I like the people that I worked with. It was just a fun job. And they had a fryer that didn't have crickets in it. And I moved up to the grill. And then I moved up to the lead line chef, which is third in command. You have the chef, the sous chef, and then the lead line cook. But it was during the lunch hour, and we didn't get a lot of business during the lunch hour, so it wasn't what you would call a prestigious title. I mean, they got all their business at night and on the weekend nights. And that job just makes me smile a lot because I loved having that job so much. It was fun there. It was a lot of fun because they would have musicians come in even during lunchtime, and they had a big TV, so they would play rugby games on it, and it was just a fun time. The chef was so nice, to me at least, and I got to learn a lot of Irish recipes from the place, and I don't know why I quit that job. I wanted to find a job closer to home, and it just didn't make sense to me. They weren't paying me enough to drive the distance that I was driving to go out there. And even though I was making good hours, I just wasn't making enough pay. And I can understand because they were new. They couldn't really pay us what we were worth. I got a raise while I was there, but it just wasn't enough to make it worth it, okay? So I really didn't want to leave, but I found a job closer to home, and that was at Into My Garden Tearoom. And it was a lot closer to home, and my best friend worked there, but it was only part-time. I only worked on the weekends, and I worked for the most cantankerous man I had ever met. He was funny. He was hilarious. He was 86 years old. He had little to no teeth. He smoked unfiltered cigarettes, and he would yell at me all the time. But he yelled at everybody all the time. And I was his sous chef because the little kitchen that we were in was so tiny that it only fit 3 people, me, him, and the dishwasher, who was probably about 80 years old himself. And, well, on the weekends, it was his son-in-law, Earl, who would wash the dishes. And he would yell at his son-in-law even more than he yelled at me. And Peggy was the owner at the time. And I barely ever saw my best friend because she was the sous chef Monday through Friday, and I was the sous chef on Saturday and Sunday. And I grew to love that chef, even though he was so cantankerous and so mean. And I would give it back to him, too. I would give him back exactly what he shelled out to me. And that's exactly what he wanted me to do to him. And so I worked there for a long time. And you will see in my next video, I worked there so long that I ended up owning the place. But my time there with Peggy as the owner and chef, I just called him chef. I called all my chefs chef. And it was fun. We served soup, quiche, sandwiches, salads, and we were in the back of a little store that sold little pretty things. It was called Nooks and Crannies. And we were in the back, shoved back in the back, where it only fit about 50 people or so. And it had a little area where you could have parties in it. And I loved my little job. But Rockwell kept calling me back to do contract jobs. So I would go back and do contract jobs for Rockwell Collins. I would quit working, get into my garden tea room, and go 4 months or up to a year at a time and do contract work and start making good money again and working on my old projects and work for Rockwell Collins. And that is where I am going to stop this video today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down. Either way, it is engagement for me. And I will end the series next Friday. Check my socials out down below. And I hope you are having a wonderful day today. If you are not, I hope it gets better for you and follows you throughout the weekend. And if you are having a particularly bad spot, just remember to stay strong, stay healthy, and stay safe. And I will see you, hopefully tomorrow for my Chatty Saturday series. And remember that we are doing a live stream tomorrow night. I will put up a reminder, and hopefully you will see it tomorrow. And hopefully I will see you then. And I bid you farewell and goodbye.